Hey everyone, welcome back. Big thanks for sending over this stack of articles, mostly from Globo90min.com and Flamengo news about our favorite team. And with this FIFA break happening right now, it feels like the perfect time to, really dig into what's going on with Flamengo.
Right. We've got to talk about the Brazilian race, the Copa do Brasil. It's getting intense. Can they actually catch Botafogo? How about that Copa do Brasil final spot? Is that a real possibility? And of course, the Gabigol contract situation. Got to address the elephant in the room.
Absolutely. This break is perfectly timed, I agree. It's like everything's on pause at this really critical moment. And yeah, you're right. Flamengo are sitting in fourth place, 9 points behind Botafogo. 9 points sounds like a lot, right? But it's not quite over yet. There are a few things that make this title race way more interesting.
Okay, so let's talk about those things. Because, yeah, if you just look at the table, fourth place, it doesn't exactly scream champions, What's the real story? Well, for starters, Flamengo have a game in hand, don't forget that. That could be huge in closing the gap. But even more importantly, I think, Botafogo have been showing some, maybe some cracks. Like, remember those 2 draws in a row against Atlético Mineiro and Fortaleza? Earlier in the season, those were games they were dominating. Whereas Flamengo, they're coming off that awesome 2-0 win against Bahia.
Dude, that Bahia match. Talk about a statement win. Clean sheet, 2 goals. Yeah. It just felt like a totally different Flamengo out there.
Exactly. That's the thing about football. It's all about momentum. That win right before the break, it's got to be huge for them psychologically. Clinical finishing, solid at the back, which, let's be honest, that's been a bit of a weakness this season.
Totally. Speaking of big moments, though, can we talk about the Copa do Brasil? That first leg win against Corinthians, that's got to have the fans feeling pretty good. Right?
Oh, for sure. A 1-0 lead going into the second leg at home, that's a fantastic position to be in. I mean, a draw, and they're in the final.
Talk about pressure. But before we get to all of that, those huge upcoming matches, we've got to talk about this Filipe Luís situation. Interim manager who saw that coming.
Right. Definitely unexpected. You don't see a player like that with his career suddenly jump into management mid-season every day. I mean, some people probably see this as just a temporary thing, but if you think about it, Luis has talked about wanting to be a manager after he retires, right?
Yeah, it's not like it's totally out of left field or anything, and it's not like he's just there to make up the numbers either. 90min.com was saying that he's been super hands-on during this break, especially focusing on tightening up the defense.
Yeah, and that's the kind of detail that makes a difference. You look back at some of their struggles this season, defensive mistakes, getting caught on the counterattack.
It's really kind of wild when you think about it. Filipe Luís, the guy, built his whole career on being this unbreakable defender.
Yeah.
And now he's the one leading the charge, right?
Yeah.
From the manager's perspective.
It's like, imagine having Filipe Luís give you a masterclass on defending, except it's for real, on the pitch. And honestly, this is the perfect time for it. Those tactical changes he's making, like shoring up the defense, they could be massive in these next few games.
For sure. And let's not forget those massive October matches coming up, starting with Fluminense, the Fla-Flu Derby, man. That's always insane. But this time, with both teams right there in the title race.
Yeah, talk about electric. Fluminense are no pushovers this season, that's for sure. They'd love nothing more than to crush Flamengo's title hopes. And, in a game like that, that's where these small changes that Filipe Luís is making, especially on defense, on those transitions, that's where they really matter.
It's like a game of chess almost, right? Each manager trying to outsmart the other. But hey, we can't forget about the other huge match, the second leg against Corinthians in the Copa do Brasil.
Oh, man. October 20th, everyone mark it down. That one's going to be special. Corinthians at home, their crowd going crazy.
Yeah.
They'll be going all out to try and come back from that 1-0 deficit.
That's the thing about cup competitions, right? It's those do-or-die games. You see what a team's really made of. Can Flamengo handle it? Can they silence that crowd and grind out a result so good?
Absolutely. It's the knockout stage. Everything's on the line. Anything can happen. Experience, staying calm, a little bit of luck. And hey, sometimes a rock-solid defense is just as important as scoring a wonder goal.
So true. But, okay, on the topic of potential problems.
Yeah.
We got to talk about this whole Gabigol thing. We can't ignore it. The contract talks aren't going well. That's no secret. That's got to be worrying for fans, right?
Yeah, it definitely adds some, complications. He's the heart of that attack, the guy that makes things happen. When Gabigol plays well, Flamengo plays well. And Flamengo News was saying the club really wants to keep him, obviously, but his market value has taken a hit. So financially, it's tricky.
Right. And there are teams out there watching the situation really carefully, just waiting for the chance to, swoop in.
It's just how it works, unfortunately. top player like that, there's always going to be interest. And if a big offer comes in, it's hard for a club to say no, especially with how expensive football is these days.
Tough situation all around, especially with everything else going on this season. Although maybe a Copa do Brasil trophy, that could make things a little bit better, right?
Yeah, winning always helps, right? It's like success breeds success. Winning a trophy, that could be the thing that convinces Gabigol to stay.
Maybe. Okay, so looking ahead a bit, we saw some stuff in Flamengo news about potential new players. What's up with this goalkeeper, Hugo Souza?
Oh, yeah, the Hugo Souza situation. Now, that one's interesting. He's young. He's got potential. He's on loan right now, but apparently Corinthians have made a real offer to buy him. But then you have Flamengo maybe thinking twice about letting him go for good.
A bidding war for a goalkeeper. That's not something you see every day. Seems like everyone's looking for the next great keeper.
Right. It makes you wonder. I mean, Diego Alves, he's getting older. Bringing back a young talent like Souza, that could be a really smart move for the future. And the fact that Corinthians want him, well, that tells you something too. They see that potential.
It's that classic dilemma. Do you stick with experience or do you bet on the young guy?
Exactly. But sometimes the best investments you can make, they're the players you already have. And in this case with Hugo Souza, I think Flamengo might be realizing, hey, we might have something special here.
Okay, so a potential bidding war. Very interesting. What else are they thinking about? What about this Matthewzinho rumor? I saw that.
That's an interesting one for sure. Really good midfielder, playing for Vitória right now. It sounds like a move for 2025 is more realistic, but still.
Yeah, it's like you got to think long-term in football, right?
Yeah.
Things change so fast.
No doubt about it. You got to stay ahead of the game. And this Matthewzinho thing, it tells me that Flamengo, they're already planning for the future. That's a good sign. But for now, all eyes are on these two massive matches in October. We can't forget about those.
For sure. It's crazy, right? We started off talking about how Flamengo are 9 points back in the Brasileirão.
9 points, yeah. And now we're talking about a potential Copa do Brasil final. Football, man, it changes so fast.
That's what we love about it, right? The
Yeah.
drama, the passion. 1 minute you're like analyzing the league table. The next minute, bam! Your team's one game away from a cup final.
Keeps us coming back for more. And these next two games for Flamengo, they're massive, no question. If they can beat Fluminense and then beat Corinthians, that puts them right back in the race for both trophies. But if they lose either of those, the pressure is going to be on. Big time.
So much can happen. It's crazy. You've got the new manager figuring things out on the fly. You've got these transfer rumors, everyone wondering who's coming and going. And of course, this whole Gabigol contract situation is still up in the air. I mean, can they handle it all? Can they pull it off?
That's the question, isn't it? Do they have what it takes? The depth, the fight, the belief, can they get through all of this and become legends? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. It's going to be exciting to watch. Every game, every rumor, every single moment, it all matters now. And you know we'll be here breaking it all down for you.
That's right. So there you have it, folks, a deep dive into the world of Mengão. Brazilian Copa do Brasil. Transfers, drama the next few weeks are going to be wild. Thanks for all your questions, all the articles you sent in, and most importantly, keep the faith.